He didn't speak much, not because he didn't have something to say, but because no one cared enough to listen. He sat in the corner, surrounded by noise, chaos, and people who only looked at him when they needed something. He watched smiles that weren't real compliments that came with poison, and handshakes that had knives hidden behind their backs. And so, he chose silence, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom, because silence is where the real transformation begins. No one noticed his pain. No one saw the storm behind his eyes. They thought his quiet meant defeat. They thought his silence meant surrender. But what they didn't know was that while they laughed, he studied. While they judged, he prepared. And while they counted him out, he was counting every lesson. They say silence is peaceful, but not always. Sometimes silence is a battlefield, a place where you scream with your soul, but no one hears you. He knew that battlefield well. There were nights he couldn't sleep, staring at the ceiling, asking himself if he was the problem, wondering why the people he gave the most to were the first to disappear, why the ones he supported mocked him the moment he slipped. He gave them his loyalty. They gave him their absence. He gave them honesty. They gave him excuses. So he stopped speaking, because when your words fall on deaf ears, your silence becomes your armor. You see, there's a different kind of pain that doesn't leave scars on the skin. It leaves cracks in the soul. The kind of pain you can't explain, so you stop trying. The kind that turns loud hearts into quiet ones. He didn't want pity. He didn't want applause. All he wanted was to be understood. But no one stayed long enough to try. They only cared about what he could do for them. And the moment he had nothing to give, they had nothing to say. So he learned to walk alone. Not because he wanted to, but because he had no other choice. And in that silence, something awakened. You see, when a man is forced into silence, he becomes dangerous, because silence sharpens vision. It tunes your ears. It strengthens your gut. He stopped trying to fit in, stopped trying to explain himself, and started watching. Everything. He watched how people treated the weak, how friends vanished when things got hard, how smiles were just masks and loyalty was rare. He stopped wasting energy on people who drained him. He started asking better questions. Not why did they hurt me, but what did I ignore? He began noticing the patterns. Fake friends show up when you shine, but disappear when you suffer. The loudest people are often the most insecure. The ones who act like leaders usually crumble when it's time to lead. He started seeing himself clearer too. He noticed the places he betrayed his own standards, just to be accepted. He saw how often he tolerated what should have been cut off. And so he began the most important process of his life, the purification of his circle and his soul. He disconnected from everything that no longer aligned with who he wanted to be. He wasn't bitter, just aware. He wasn't angry, just awake. They thought he was doing nothing. They were wrong. He was learning. He was building. He was watching everything. One day, he went completely silent. No more calls, no more texts, no more presence. He vanished from their world because he was entering his own. People thought he gave up, but he wasn't quitting. He was recalibrating. He locked himself in the gym, in books, in work, in solitude. He trained his body, his mind, and his spirit. Not to impress anyone, but to become the man he was always meant to be. You see, the most powerful version of you isn't loud. It's not out there begging for attention. It's in the shadows, training. He stopped chasing love. He stopped proving his worth. He let the silence become his sanctuary. Day by day, he built his discipline. He mastered his habits. He created his own rules. He didn't need motivation anymore. Pain was enough. He didn't need applause anymore. Purpose was louder. He didn't need anyone to believe in him. He believed in himself. The fire that once burned him now fueled him. He didn't want revenge. He wanted results. And in that lonely silence, he found peace. One day, without warning, he showed up. Again, but not to explain. Not to ask for closure. Not to prove anything. He showed up as proof. Proof that pain can build strength. Proof that silence can shape power. Proof that the man they ignored was never weak, just becoming. The ones who laughed at him now whispered about him. The ones who overlooked him now couldn't stop watching. The ones who left now wished they stayed, but he didn't come back for them. He didn't come back to be seen. He came back to fulfill the vision he saw when no one else did, because that's what silent men do. They don't beg. They don't chase. They don't explain that they evolve. And now they call him dangerous. But they don't realize they made him this way. Every fake friend, every silent phone, every back turned, every betrayal built him. They thought the silence was weakness, but it was strategy, because while they talked, he was watching. And now that he's ready, he's unstoppable.